Oh, Starmer is doing like an apology tour to the Muslim community because because basically he said that Israel had the right to withdraw food, electricity, and water from Israeli people. And he's now...
I certainly saw his initial remarks. I didn't know about the apology tour.
Oh, he's denying that he ever said it now, even though there's a video of him saying it. He's saying, I was answering the previous question. I don't know if he just had a fucking malfunction or something, because he'd already answered the previous question with the same rote bullshit about how Israel have a right to do that. But the interviewer specifically said, do they have the right to withdraw food, water, and electricity? And he said, Israel do have that right. So he basically, from what I have heard, this is well-sourced stuff, Starmer apparently called around various London mosques and they all told him to get fucked. He was like, can I come and do a photo op with you guys and show that I'm down with Muslims? And they were like, no. So he had to go. He had to go to fucking Wales. Friends of the show. Starmer had to go to like let me get this up, the South Welsh Muslim organisation or something, who I've seen getting a lot of criticism from.
They were probably just like, oh, we're just like a small organisation. We're getting attention from this big politician.
Yeah.
Not to excuse it, but.
Here we go.
That's hilarious.
Keir Starmer. I was grateful to hear from a Muslim community of the South Wales Islamic Centre. The MP for Holborn and St Pancras, Keir Starmer, down at the South Wales Islamic Centre. Just like Paul Mason, lives and breathes Wales. I repeated our calls for all hostages to be released. Just, you just go along to the South Wales Islamic Centre and just ask them to release the hostages. Thank you, Keir. I have long suspected that the Welsh were pulling the strings of the Hamas menace. Right. Well, thank you. You are totally right to stand up to these Welsh devils and demand that they release the hostages at once. Fucking super furry animals. John Cale. Tom Jones. Shrieking Tin Man. Do you condemn Hamas? We need answers from the Welsh on this. So yeah. I don't know what the representatives of the South Wales Islamic Centre told Keir Starmer they were going to do about the hostages. Maybe I'm
sure they said they'll be in touch with their contacts at Hamas.
Yeah, we'll put in a word with Hamas. We're telling the biggest fucking cop in the country that you have mates in Hamas. Yeah, okay. More humanitarian aid to enter Gaza, blah, 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 for the water and power to be switched back on. Now, he's really emphasising the water and power to be switched back on there, as if he'd previously said or something that he didn't think that should happen, and a renewed focus on the two-state solution, blah 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 blah. So pretty boring stuff after the bit where he asks for the Welsh people to release the hostages.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, like, Starmer can say, I never said that. I never said that Israel had the right to withdraw all these vital goods from Palestinian people. But then why did his senior shadow ministers David Lammy and Emily Thornberry then go out and say the same thing in defence of his position for several days afterwards?
Yeah.
Did they just misspeak as well? Were they misconstrued? Are they just answering a series of questions, in a rapid-fire way? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, what this whole thing reveals, really, to me, is that almost the entire Western left, by which I mean pretty much everyone who isn't, like, a committed Marxist of some stripe, is really shown that without any kind of material analysis or, like, theoretical understanding of the forces at work, they do all just quite literally, no matter how woke they appear to be, they see the world as being comprised of these distinct monolithic ethnic groups where all Jews are invested in the Israeli project and Israel is defending all Jews and all Muslims are responsible for Hamas, not even just all Palestinians, but like all Muslims, and they're all just scary terrorist people, and this is a great clash of West versus East. It's the only way to make sense of how all these like aesthetically woke libs and even like moderate leftists are coming out and saying saying, yes, Israel has a right to defend itself, and I'm not an anti-Semite. And bro, you're literally being an anti-Semite by saying that Israel even has my interests at heart, it's not. And it's just so cataclysmically horrific, just this collective punishment that everyone has said that Israel has the right to do. And at best, they're just sort of slightly walking back in recent days, like, oh, maybe you shouldn't kill every single Palestinian. That might be a little much, It's a little late, very late,
Speaking of cunts, I thought we could circle back to Israel and Palestine, because I know you said you had some more shit to talk about on there, but I just wanted to mention this new thing that Azad Ali from the organisation Cage has posted. So he said that it was disgusting that Keir Starmer had given cover for genocide against Palestinians, and the mosque in Wales saw fit to allow him in. He said that was a spectacular betrayal. Then he provided a quite lengthy update. He said, I spoke to the Imam of the South Wales Islamic Centre, Sheikh Mohammed, over the phone about these images which are being used by Keir Starmer as propaganda and PR to dilute and sanctify his statement in support of war crimes and genocide. I don't know this Imam personally, I don't know anything about him, and had not spoken to him before the telephone conversation. I shared my thoughts on Keir Starmer and the South Wales Islamic Centre propaganda before my conversation with the centre's imam. My thoughts on the issue have not changed. We all know that mosque imams in the UK are employees of mosque committees and have zero decision-making powers. Since my phone conversation with the imam of South Wales Islamic Centre was private, I asked for his permission to share on Facebook and with others the details I am going to share now, and he granted me his permission to do so. The imam was crying and upset as he explained to me the following. Number 1. South Wales Islamic Centre did not invite Keir Starmer. He was in Wales and his people made a phone call to South Wales Islamic Centre expressing their desire to come and visit the centre. 2. The imam did not know who Keir Starmer was before he met him at the South Wales Islamic Centre. He's Egyptian, can barely speak or read English, and doesn't follow local politics. He was also not aware of what Keir Starmer had said in support of genocide and war crimes. He wishes he had researched online before agreeing to meet him. Even if he had, he doubted that he would have found anything in Arabic. He says, it seems to me that the old issue of imams who are not familiar with the local context has still not been resolved. With notable exceptions, Al-Azhar graduates have not always been known to be politically and socially literate and aware, so I was not surprised. Again, that's the guy from Cage saying that, not me. 3, the imam was unaware that this visit would be exploited for propaganda and public relations. He was shocked when the angry phone calls started coming in from various communities, and disappointed to see how pictures from the visit were being used by Keir Starmer on social media for propaganda purposes. 4. He will ask the mosque committee to meet and draft another statement to clarify what happened and state South Wales Islamic Centre's position. And 5. He cried as he explained that he would never betray Palestinians by associating or collaborating in the propaganda of anyone who supports war crimes and genocide against them. I believe everything he told me. The South Wales Islamic Centre and its committee should clean this mess. From Michael Mimisa.
Jeez, man. That is so disgusting on the part of Keir Starmer.
Yeah, what a piece of shit.
And it explains why he couldn't get anyone in the London area. I imagine they're more metropolitan in London, and they probably have more English speakers making these decisions and more aware of politics. Whereas, an immigrant living in South Wales probably doesn't give that much of a fuck about local politics. It doesn't have much knowledge of the matter. Yeah, that makes so much sense. I bet Keir was just going on a tour and just like, okay, we got to find someone who's never heard of me.
Yeah. Oh, this guy doesn't speak any English. Let's go to his mosque. Yeah, fucking. They just assumed that because he was Welsh, he wouldn't speak any English anyway. It's like, these Welsh are all fucking barbarians. But no, it's
the natural
it's
brotherhood
fucked,
of Welsh and Palestinians. Yeah,
yeah, I actually think there is a fair amount of support for Palestine.
probably.
In
I mean,
Wales,
there is in Ireland, isn't there? I think Irish Republic was one of the only Western countries to say anything like remotely pro-Palestine.
There is in Scotland, actually. The Scottish First Minister, Humza Yousaf, has a lot of family in Palestine.
Yes, right.
So thoughts go out to him, but fucking, there's a lot of people in Scotland who, a recent poll, in fact, showed that everywhere in the UK, apart from Scotland, like, people were more pro-Israel. I guess that didn't include Ireland in there. No, I don't think it did include Northern Ireland in the poll, but it was, like, mainland Britain. But, man.
Yeah.
It's a dark time.
It's really gross, yeah. Just to be used for propaganda, and when you don't speak the language, being so clearly taken advantage of.
Well, yeah, because like he wouldn't be able to know. This guy is, to use the phrase in that online post, like, not like politically and socially literate. He wouldn't necessarily know. Oh, that's Keir Starmer. He's a Labour politician. He has replaced Jeremy Corbyn and is setting himself out as a moderate kind of alternative to that, blah, 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 blah. You wouldn't know all that shit. But if you put it to him like, oh, he's a guy who supports Israel against the Palestinians, then like he might suddenly understand the situation.
And made even worse by the fact that, Keir Starmer was, of course, trying to cover his ass and was making an apology statement. So it probably, even if this imam had some understanding of what was being said, he wouldn't have known that it was because he was covering for something else, Substantively, It would have seemed like, oh, this guy wants to say something pro-Palestine. Awesome. And the genocide.
Exactly.
Totally, completely deceptive.
If you don't closely follow British politics, you probably don't have any sense of how completely insane it is regarding Israel and Palestine.
I hear about it all the time from you, and I barely get it, man.
It's like, the leader of the centre-left party, he's definitely gonna be, like, fucking virulently in favour of Israeli war crimes. That's what you'd assume, isn't it? No, I was glad that I got, like, a genuine heartfelt condemnation of Keir Starmer from you, though. That was, like, that made my fucking day. Like, just like, that's disgusting from Starmer. I'm like, yes, it is! He's a disgusting man!
For a brief moment, I felt the full breadth and depth of your outrage towards the man.
Yeah, I was just like, yes, we need to spread the Starmer out message throughout the world, throughout the civilized world, because God knows in the so-called uncivilized world, I think they all probably just see him as a fucking white supremacist, apartheid-loving cunt anyway. Right.
Exactly. The American voting bloc is very big in Britain, and I'm highly influential.